Everyone. Today I am very delighted to have with me Professor Piero Formica from the Maynooth University in Ireland. Amongst other things, he's fulfilling tremendous roles in the world relating to innovation, entrepreneurship. And I'm Hannelie, and I'm from the Possibility Gap and the Joy Generation. And Prof. Piero is incidentally one of our council members. So I'm really delighted to have him here with me today. Welcome, Piero.
Welcome, everybody.
And today we are together for a specific reason, me and you, Piero. I'm really excited about one of your latest books, Econaissance The Reimagined School and the Culture of Entrepreneurialism.
Yeah.
And I can just tell everyone that the alignment and the synchronicity about your book is just incredible about what we are doing, but we will get to that later. It's more important to talk to you about your wonderful creation. So, Piero, what inspired you firstly to write this book?
You see, the day-by-day events, mainly I could say in the Mediterranean countries. I am embedded in Bologna, and then I commute between Bologna and Dublin during the months, not in this moment, in these months. The day-by-day events, and for the short view of the policymakers, at least in the countries I know better. Europe is in trouble, and the Southern Europeans are even more in trouble. The reason for which I try to move the mindset from the establishment, the status quo, toward a vision, like the eyes of a baby. What is called a rounded vision, not a squared, a round, like universe, which means all together. So the reason for which I have not written about the reform of the school, but the reimagination. In the reform mode, you try to design in a better way what you are doing. It's about organization, teacher salaries, wages, how you appoint the teacher, the contents of the various disciplines. Whereas the reimagination is a new kind of educating, no more based on the word teaching, but on the word learning. It's not about the barriers between science and humanism, but the embrace, what they call the steam, like the steam engine, the steam which generates ideas and move ideas into action. And this for the reimagination school. There are examples in the book concerning a primary school in Tokyo, where the pupils, in the same phrase, the same sentence, they write in different languages. One word is in English, another word is in French, a third one is in Spanish, in the same language, in the same section of the statement. Or the elementary school in Los Angeles, founded by Elon Musk, where each student learn according to his or her time and ability, so customized in some way. Or this experiment in Italy, Northeast Italy, in a lyceum, which has been called STEAM, science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics, in a sort of a fusion. Why this? To allow people to survive as thinkers to the artificial intelligence era. if we teach to the robot how to think, what's happened to us, we will continue to think or not. So we must be thinker. And then in the other side of this face, this moon, the other side of the moon, what's they call the culture of entrepreneurialism, in which I replace the word worker with the word ideator, so that each and every time we present, we show our bio to the potential employer, we say to her or to him, gentleman, lady, I have with me a portfolio of ideas, not only of a competence, specific competence, but a portfolio, the range of ideas. And replacing the word, even the word entrepreneur, with the word innopreneur, which means people who establish a venture for changing the state of the art, which is the Schumpeterian way or mode thinking of looking at entrepreneurship, which is should be a culture, even before or even more than a way of generating a company, is the culture of an open mind, of be capable of writing and using a recipe made up by different ingredients from all the science and of the humanities. So this has been basically my thought, and I have done this as I do in the last 10 years, quoting scientists, poets, novelists, ancient from Greek and Roman times to the Enlightenment, the Industrial Revolution. And one of the common denominator is the art of a conversation, what's called the cum versare, dancing together, in order to cross the border of the known and to challenging the unknown, the uncertainty, insecurity.
That's wonderful.
The broad scenario of Econaissance, which is has been followed. My new essay out before the end of the year is called the nature's voice, the voice of nature. Why? Since especially the economists, we are accustomed to write, think in terms of numbers, and the bricks of this exercise have built a monster which is called the GDP. I use this metaphor in the 30s. The GDP was a very nice calf, and nowadays is a big bull. And the GDP doesn't take care about the voice of the nature. So we must move beyond the GDP, and we need to think as a social philosopher, the economist, as was done, has been done during the Industrial Revolution. This is the famous friendship between David Hume and Adam Smith, from a different points of view, but complementary points of view. The two guys, they were social philosophers. This is my job, my work, research in this year. In Italy, after what I have done in Ireland with my colleague, Professor Carley, we wrote a book for making experiments for new venture creation. Nowadays, the University of Padua, in the last 3 years, has established a lab called the Contamination Lab, where in the summer school, held in the nice viewpoint, nice landscape of the Dolomites, Cortina d'Ampezzo, the Dolomites, I can instill into the participant the mindset of the ideators to become a guy, a person who is capable of generating ideas and moving ideas into action.
That's wonderful, Piero. Piero, I'm curious. In your book, you mention that Econaissance is a change agent. And you specifically mention how it's really powerful and significant now for teachers, students, practitioners, entrepreneurs, all walks of society, so to speak, but specifically that it's bringing more meaning and purpose. So how do you see that this will be an enzyme, like we need an enzyme in our, when we eat, we need enzymes to metabolize the food and turn it into energy, and likewise, a stimulant. How do you see this way of living? It's not even a point of view. For me, it's a way of living. And because you say it's not only, because lots of us can have ideas, but not everyone knows how to put it into action. So in this age where we live with lots of activists, people speaking up about what's not working anymore, and how do you see this as big force, a real prolific force to be a change agent for humanity?
I have addressed this book to the people who feel they are curious about the quality of their life, not only the quality of living, which means income per capita, money, blah, 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 but the quality of life. Now, I don't know how many people they have the curiosity about the quality of their life up to the quality of living. And then I would say that the quality of living is the primary player, the primary actor in the theater of society and economics. So, to be honest with you, types of a book like mine are not so easy to penetrate the big society. We need the leaders who not only they agree with what I have written, but they debate and they even disagree with me, so that through the collision of ideas, we generate new thinking, new research, and new books. Debate. It's like in the Adda Club in India, the famous culture in Calcutta of the Ad, club of people, nonsense, but not pointlessness, with a lot of purposeful people. So the Adda Club, which remind me the famous intellectual saloon in Paris, 1700, and the famous British clubs, English clubs, Lunar Society in Birmingham, the Junto Club, Benjamin Franklin in Pennsylvania. So I addressed this book to the leader of the quality of life, who, debating and through disagreement, not only an agreement, they can spread these and the other complementary and similar ideas around the world. I don't think the policymakers nowadays they have an interest. The policy making, unfortunately, is a very short-term view. It's about to be elected. The parliament are a sort of markets for getting vote, buying and selling votes. And democracy is suffering a lot for this reason. Look at the leaders we have around the world. And you compare this with the Churchill, for instance, during the Second World War or others. So there is a very, very dangerous divide, cultural divide, and the cultural gap, as we say, divide gap. So I address the book to the leaders.
You know, you mentioned something very important, Piero. Lately, I have a lot of my esteemed friends who think similarly to us, like me and you, has mentioned that this polarization, you know, they see it as a threat. People disagreeing. But, you know, when you speak about people coming together, we don't have to think the same way. It is exactly when we create that creative tension between ourselves. So it's not about being right or wrong, it's about what's possible. Because like you say, it's when we come together with disagreements that new ways of thinking can actually emerge. So it's neither me or your thinking that matters at this moment in time, but what wants to burst through us when we come together. And like you say, it's not pointless. So it's also not, we don't come with preconceived ideas. And I love the idea of the salons. And in my corporate experience, to bring in salons into organizations, like on a Friday afternoon at lunchtime, just an hour between all the people working together. It's incredible what can happen.
Yeah.
So it's changed from the inside out as well, because you instigate people to think for themselves, independently, creatively, and to really come together to bring in the new together. So it's not me and you thing or us and them thing.
Yeah.
Excited about what I read in your book, because it's so aligned about what we do at the Possibility Gap, and also at the Joy Generation, of sharing experiences, experiments. We have 3 studies going on that's related to that, with several initiatives that's aligned with it. So you could also call it academic studies. But Piero, I have something else to ask you. In Econaissance, you say it's the intertwining of knowledge, economy, and which one am I leaving out now?
Renaissance.
Renaissance, yes. So I'm curious, why do you think, or in your view, in your experience, because you're so wise and you are sharing such a beautiful body of wisdom with the world, is it that this is now the right time for that? For these ideators to come forward, to, like you say, that when you apply for a role in a job, you share your portfolio of ideas, not only your competencies, because those are more important right now. So in terms of these ideators coming forth, at this moment in time, what is it we can actually do if we are an ideator? So I'm an ideator. What can I do now to really help seed this into the world, so to speak?
In the Renaissance time, the so-called humanists, they discovered the ancient text. They used the ancient text as a sort of energetic food for energy. And through this energy, they change the world. Take a case of the great painters, Raffaello, for instance. The same people, they use to, I come back to my point, to converse together in the famous Renaissance shops called botteghe rinascimentali in Florence, Renaissance shops, where scientists, artists, mecenates, entrepreneurs, they met together. All these people, common denominator, idea leaders, leaders of ideas. And through these efforts, at that time, the world changed. We opened the windows, and there was even the so-called discovery of America, new navigation, new perspectives. And then, it's a jumping down over the history. Nowadays, we are in the moment of the down. And so each of us can't live alone, should be or should become an ideator, surrounded by other ideators, convincing young boys and ladies and girls to generate ideas, fresh ideas, and to move this idea into action. So it's a sort of mentorship from us, which may be lucky. We don't get the money, we don't run for money, which is, to my mind, is a positive and not negative, back to the quality of life, not the quality of living. I don't see any other pathway to address the hard difficulties of the humanities nowadays, the ecological mishap of the ecology, what is happening in the ecology, what is happening in Italy, for instance, and each and every time there is a stormy weather disaster. So the meter, we need to replace the old meters. And for a time, could it be even better not to get new meters? I tell you, if you have a meter, you teach. So if I'm a professor in macroeconomics, I ask people, what does mean balance of payments? And there is only one answer, since the balance of payments is a standard. Okay. So you ask the students, and the student has one way of reply. But if I am in the field of innovation, ideas, entrepreneurship, there are no standards. So each and every time I said to my student, nowadays I have some PhD, I said to them, if in the so-called exams you repeat what I say to you, you fail. Since if you have no standard, your idea are a leverage for generating new ideas. The standard are a sort of a boundary. They confine you without a small box. And then you are no more an ideator, you are a person which has the competence. Of course, we need the competence. We need the people who are cardiologists, other people who are lawyers, and so on and so forth, or motor race driver. Okay. But this type of world is unbalanced. All is keen toward the standard. This way, the ideation process is put into the refrigerator and the fridge. So the ideators, they challenge the standard, they work without a standard, and of course, once the new ideas are accumulated, they generate new standards, and so on and so forth. Should be a cycle. But nowadays, you know this. We are running with one leg very strong and the other which suffer from tuberculosis. It's very difficult to run in that way.
Oh, Piero, I'm so excited. I really want to invite everyone. Thank you for that. Because I really want to, I want to challenge actually all teachers, lecturers, people in education, and also the learning part, the learners, the students, because we have many younger people and older people who are curious about ideation, about the new, the unfamiliar. I would want to invite them all to, as well as our entrepreneurs, because I also know personally lots of entrepreneurs globally who are not really ideators. It's just another job. So it's just another word for the old way of doing business. It's still, like you say, the same economy, economical rules and the likes. So I would like to invite everyone to get a copy of your book. And all we are really looking forward to your new one, the one about nature. But where can we find your book? The Econaissance currently?
On Amazon.
They're on Amazon. So in Kindle and in paperback.
May I add two points?
Yes.
Points. One, just an example. Yesterday, my TEDx, called In Praise of Ignorance, despite in Italian but subtitled in English, has reached 100,000 visualization. Am I content? Maybe yes or not, since quantity doesn't mean quality. So that the quality of life is about quality. The quality of living is about quantity. And the quantity, they don't listen to the voice of nature. They don't listen to the voice of the ideator. They listen to money you can get through the status quo. The famous well-consolidated competence skills. So that I say that my message is be content to become a quality person who loves the quality of life, leave apart aside the quantity of the quality of living, and move from teaching to learning, and from debating to conversing with disagreement. These are my basic points at the end of this conversation. And I say to you, all the ladies and gentlemen who are listening to, my best wishes for the incoming months, still different times, but as in Shakespeare, the winter times, the time of discontent, prelude to a sun estate, thanks to a generation of ideators.
That's beautiful. Thank you, Piero. And like you said, it's available on Kindle and Amazon, in Kindle paperback. And also your new book, I just want to ask lastly, when is your new book due? When can we?
I tell you, my new book is
on that.
in Chicago before the end of the year by a publishing house which is focused on narratives. It's called a Biograph, and the publisher, his name is Aaron Greenberg. They have also a journal called the journal Biograph Journal, and one of the last issues is a section of my book about the natural voice. The book should be out, hard copy, digital copy, like the previous one, before the end of the year. This Chicago gentleman wrote to me months ago, and I was surprised. This gentleman has a PhD in humanities. I think his thesis was about the Renaissance, so that he called me. I was very glad to contribute to this new publishing house, which I deem is very, very promising, young guys with a lot of fresh ideas.
That's
I
fantastic.
try to support the youngsters.
That's fantastic. Thank you, everyone, and thank you, Piero, for sharing this time with us and sharing a bit about your wonderful bodies of wisdom, what I call it. And I look forward to experience it myself in actuality as well, and to embody it and to share it in our initiatives as well with people who are attending our workshops and our studies. Because I think I'm really excited about it. And the idea of the ideator is definitely the next, where we should move forward to. Because we really need it as humanity and for our planet and everybody's well-being. And I love how you refer in your book, but we're not going to say much about that anymore, about well-having and well-being. And I leave that as a mystery for everybody who's curious and who's going to obtain your book. That part is incredibly wonderful and powerful and meaningful at this time. Thank you, everyone.
Latin ad maiora semper.